Hey guys, so today we have more polling data, and I am very glad to say that I am back and I'm ready to cover all the latest polling data that we've been getting all the way up until the midterms. Tomorrow, I will be going over all of the videos that would be coming up until the midterms because I've got a lot to cover. There's a lot to get out. We're just 10 days out until the midterm elections, which is really like impressive, if you will. So we're going today, to break things up a bit, we're going to be looking at the polling from Saturday, October 20, Sunday, October 21, Monday, October 22, and Tuesday, October 23. In a separate video also posted today, we'll look at polling from October 24, 25, 26, and 27. So, first of all, quite old data now. In the Arizona Senate race, we have Martha McSally versus Kristen Sinema. The latest poll by New York Times has McSally up 2 points over the Republican rival Martha McSally. Over Kristen Sinema. Overall, pretty good for Martha McSally. There are a number of undecided. There's probably a few undecided voters they could sway towards the Republicans and Democrats, both of them. So, overall, Arizona, one of the hottest races in the country. I'm going to keep it in the tilt Democratic column just because I still think that, Kristen Sinema may just have that slight edge. If we get some more data from this state, I'll be sure to keep you updated on that one. Next, we have the Florida 15th Congressional District, Spano versus Carlson. This is a Trump plus 10, Romney plus 5 district, and the latest poll has this as a tie by New York Times, pretty reliable. So that's pretty interesting as well. If we go back to Pennsylvania 8th District, the one done by the New York Times, the Democrat is up there by 12 points. That's phenomenal. I mean, he's the Democratic incumbent, but still, Trump won this district by almost 10 points. So it's those Obama voters that are coming back and supporting the Democrat there, Matt Cartwright. It is a likely Democratic seat. So now we've finished covering the October 20 polls. We'll go over to the October 21 polls. I'm going to do this pretty quickly. We have Florida Senate, Florida Governor, Missouri Senate, Minnesota Governor, Washington, and Arkansas congressional races, and then we'll finish off with the President Trump job approvals. So, first of all, in the Senate battle, Rick Scott versus Bill Nelson. The latest CNN poll has Nelson leading by 5 points. That's pretty good for Bill Nelson. I mean, he was pretty much tied, but now he seems to have regained his ground with voters, and that's pretty good news for Bill Nelson in the state of Florida. In addition, we have some other major Senate races to get to, like the Missouri Senate race. The latest poll done by the Missouri Scout, I don't know if you can see it, they've since updated it, has Hawley leading by 1 point. Again, pretty good for Josh Hawley, not great for Clay McCaskill. There are still some undecided voters, and in Republican Missouri, they're probably going to go to Josh Hawley, so this is one to keep an eye out. But because the fundamentals lean in McCaskill's favor, I'm still ever so narrowly going to keep it in McCaskill's column, but that's one to watch. Also, we have the Florida governor race between Ron DeSantis and Andrew Gillum. Now, this is a hotly contested race, but CNN has it as Gillum plus 12. I'm not falling for that. That could have been done in the favor of Andrew Gillum because 12-point lead for a Democrat in Florida is not really that believable. It is an outlier, that poll. Minnesota governor race, Jeff Johnson versus Tim Walz. People say this is going to get close. We are 10 days away from the midterm elections. It's not going to happen. Minnesota governor race, Jeff Johnson versus Tim Walz, will go to the Democrats. I'm going to, if I can find it, I put it in the safe column. That doesn't really make much sense. I'm moving it into the likely Democratic column because I don't know, safe is a bit too far. In Washington's 3rd District, Jamie Herrera Butler, I guess, is leading by 7 points in a New York Times poll. That's pretty good. I'm keeping it in the leaning GOP column, the state of Jamie Herrera Butler, leaning GOP column. And Arkansas 2nd District, Democrats think they have a chance, but no. French Hill probably will be re-elected in this double-digit Trump district. I'm keeping it in the likely Republican column. So that's it for the polls from Sunday, October 21. We're going to continue to go on to Monday, October 22, because it's really a lot of information to cover, and it's a lot of data. So let's start off in Indiana, and we'll work our way downwards because there's a lot of high-profile races. Indiana, Florida, West Virginia, North Dakota, Minnesota, California, Vermont. I guess those two aren't really high-profile, but anyway. Indiana Senate race, the three-way race, Braun versus Donnelly versus Brenton. The latest poll done by Survey USA has Donnelly up 1, but the Libertarian candidate is chipping away at Mike Braun. That's not great news for Joe Donnelly. Now, we have 3 consecutive polls from the state of Florida. We'll start off with the Quinnipiac poll, which is probably the most high-profile, if I can find it. The Quinnipiac poll shows Bill Nelson leading by 6 points. That's pretty good for Bill Nelson. Could be better, but, 6 points for a Democrat in Florida, pretty good news for Bill Nelson. So next we have the St. Pete poll, I guess. It shows Scott leading by 2 points. That's pretty good for Rick Scott, but considering this poll is an outlier, shouldn't be taken as much. But next we have a major poll, major breaking news actually. Bay News 9 Survey USA shows Nelson with a staggering 8-point lead over Rick Scott. This definitely cements his lead as the favorite to win the Florida Senate race. Nelson leading by 8, definitely good news for him. Now, looking at, by the way, I'm keeping this in the leaning Democratic column. Now, looking at the West Virginia Senate race between Patrick Morrisey and Joe Manchin, after Manchin voted in favor of Judge Kavanaugh, this was a done deal. Joe Manchin will go on to be re-elected United States Senator from West Virginia. I am almost certain about it. It's a likely Democratic state, and I'm keeping it in a likely Democratic state because the latest poll done by, if I can find it, WSAV shows Manchin with a 16-point lead. That you can't really argue with that. That's good news for Manchin, especially in a red state like West Virginia. Next, we have North Dakota Senate race and some more bad news for Heidi Heitkamp, the Democratic incumbent senator. NBC Valley News shows Kevin Cramer leading by 16 points. That's unprecedented, and 16 points is actually in the safe range, but the average is in the likely range. But NBC Valley News, 16 points is really, quite impressive for a non-incumbent going against a Democratic incumbent in a Democratic wave year against someone who's pretty much well-suited for the state. I'm keeping it in the likely Republican column. Next, we have the state of Minnesota between Tina Smith and Karen Housley. It's leaning Democratic. I think it's not likely Democratic in my mind. Star Tribune / Mason Dixon shows Smith leading by 6. I think her lead is a little bit more than 6, especially considering Amy Klobuchar will kind of drag Tina Smith over the line in my mind. And because of that, I'm keeping it in the likely Democratic column. Next, we have the at-large Senate race between Amy Klobuchar and Jim Newberger. This is going to go to Klobuchar. I mean, it's safe Democratic. I really don't think it needs much attention. Klobuchar up 23, not a big surprise, pretty much the same as what she's led before. Next, we have the California Senate race between Dianne Feinstein and Kevin DeLeon. Feinstein leading by 18%, not the worst thing. I mean, could be better for her, but again, it's still pretty good for Dianne Feinstein, and she will likely be re-elected United States Senator from California. Next, we have the state of Vermont, where Bernie Sanders, the independent, will go on and win this one. It seriously does not need covering because it is a safe independent. Bernie Sanders, the most popular politician. Lawrence Zupan has no chance at winning. Sanders 60 is really just safe for Bernie Sanders. In the Florida governor race, we have two polls, one done by St. Pete poll. The same poll that shows Rick Scott leading by 2 also shows Andrew Gillum leading by 1. So that's something also to note. In addition, we have the Florida governor race done by Bain News 9 / Survey USA. Andrew Gillum leading by 7 points. That's pretty good for him. I mean, could be better, but 7 points. A win is a win, whatever. I'm keeping the Florida governor race in the leaning column for the Democrats, just like the Senate race. Michigan, we have a few governors' race to cover. Michigan governor, California governor, Arkansas governor, and Vermont governor. This video is stretching on pretty long, but I promise that we will get through it as quickly as I can. In the Michigan governor race by MRG, Whitmer up 14. That's phenomenal. I mean, that's seriously pretty darn good for a Democrat in the state of Michigan. Likely Democratic column. We have the California governor race. This is going to go to Gavin Newsom at the end of the day. People say it will get close, but it is a bit closer than what it should be. But Gavin Newsom will be elected the United States governor from California. I'm moving it from safe to likely because of the new poll that only shows him leading by 13, but still you can expect this one to go into the Democratic column. We have the Arkansas governor race. This does not need covering or any talking about. Asa Hutchinson going to run away with this one. Safe GOP. Again, you can expect this to go in the GOP column. Does not need much explanation. In the Vermont governor, Phil Scott versus Christine Holquist. Vermont Public Radio shows Scott leading by 14. You can expect this one to be in the likely Republican column. Final polling from this day, we have Tuesday, October 23 odds. Okay, sorry about that. Tuesday, October 23 polls. I'm going to run through this really quickly. We have Florida Senate, Indiana Senate, Montana Senate, Mississippi Senate, Mississippi Special. I'm actually not even going to bother covering the Mississippi Senate thing because it's really not important. Florida Governor, again, and then Georgia Governor. Alaska Governor, this is very important considering that the independent incumbent governor has now backed out of that race. Montana, we have 2 polls actually from the Montana at large, Illinois and Georgia. So a lot to cover. Let's go through it really quickly. Florida Senate shows Rick Scott leading. This is an outlier. All the other polls show Bill Nelson leading. Next one, Indiana, Braun versus Donnelly versus Brenton. Braun leading by 1 point in the latest poll. That's pretty good. Montana Senate +9+3 again. Good news for the Democrat. There in Mississippi, Roger Wicker versus David Barrier. This is going to go to the GOP. Does not need any explanation. In Florida, Ron DeSantis versus Andrew Gillum shows Gillum leading. In the state, hang on just a sec. Yeah, that's right, by 4 by 6 as well. In Georgia, tie. It shows a tie, I believe. That's pretty good news for Stacey Abrams, considering, Brian Kemp is not necessarily a good person to run, considering his voter suppression. In Alaska, we definitely needed a new one of these. Dunleavy leading by 4. Pretty good news for him. He's a Republican in the state of Alaska. California 48, Dana Rebecca versus Carly Ruder. Rebecca +2, that's pretty good. Virginia 2nd District, this is going to go to the Republicans at the end of the day. Virginia 5, Cockburn +1, that's pretty good for the Democrat, but could be better. In Montana, this will probably go to the Republicans, leaning GOP. Greg Gianforte going to win this one. In Illinois, the Republican up 9, that's pretty good. Again, good news for the Republicans and good news for them in the state of Georgia with Karen Handel. So, sorry I had to run through all of those because we were just dragging on too long. Then tomorrow we'll be covering, today in a separate video we'll be covering October 24, 25, 26 polling, and then in a separate video again we'll be covering, we'll combine it with the Saturday 27, then we'll get back to the normal polling schedule once I've caught up to all the polls. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.